Are you in an abusive relationship? Do you feel stuck inside of that abusive relationship? I'll make it very clear before I go any further into the fabric and the material of this video that this is far less for people that have children in abusive relationships. Because for people that have children in abusive relationships, it's a lot more challenging to get out and set a structure where you can actually have a healthier life for yourself. It doesn't mean it's impossible, it just means it's more challenging. You have to deal with the 50-50 part of it. You have to deal with the children, the assets, everything. This is more so for people that have been in abusive relationships and they feel like it's nearly impossible for them to get out. And that is for reasons like being gaslighted into believing that there is nobody else out there for them. It's absolutely wild what people go through in unhealthy, abusive relationships. It's disgusting what people are led to believe in terms of what is and what isn't available for them out there. Maybe you find yourself in a relationship with a narcissist and they have gaslighted you into believing that there is absolutely nobody else out there in this world of 8+ billion people. In that case, maybe around half of that is the gender that you're looking for. Regardless, that is a massive number of people. To be gaslighted into believing that there's nobody else out there for you that could even be a friend, right, to confide in, is absolutely outrageous. And the reality of the matter is that a lot of people are actually gaslighted into believing that there's nobody else out there for them. So if you are gaslighted with that perspective, then you're basically your vision of anything else outside of that that's possible for you is shut off. Take this from somebody who has experience with this. I'm not going to get any more into the logistics of my own experience with this, but all I'm going for boundaried matters. But all I'm going to say is that I have experience with this. I know what it's like to be led to believe that there's nobody else out there. Because people that are manipulative, people that gaslight, people that are abusive and unhealthy, they like to get you to believe that they're the only person out there for you. Why? So that you won't leave them. So, when you feel stuck in an abusive relationship, the most important thing is to recognize what it is that you're feeling. And with that, actually looking at the reality of the matter and seeing that you can get out of the relationship. It is possible for you. Even if you have kids with them, it is possible for you. And the more time you spend in the relationship, the more time you will waste inside of that relationship and regret staying there later on. Again, take this from somebody who's had experience with this. Unhealthy relationships are unhealthy relationships, and unless there is any change or unless there's any willingness for anybody in the relationship to change, it's not going to fucking change. Any promises that are made that next year will be better or that some future event will change things and things will be better, the likelihood that it's fucking bullshit is very high. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been future faked, where the whole dynamic started out absolutely amazing? Well, because you were love bombed, right? And you were told that the relationship was going to get better, that the entire dynamic was going to get better. And actually, it got exceedingly worse. It got exceedingly unhealthier. It got exceedingly more abusive. Simply because you were love bombed. Were you future faked? Did they fake the future? Did they say that it's going to get amazing in the future when something else happens? The initial stages of unhealthy relationships tend to be seductive because they don't have anything to offer in the future. And so therefore they create this illusionary future that they do everything that they can to get you to stick around for because you're prone to abuse. You're prone to fucked up dynamics. You're prone to believing in all of these fantasies and fairy tales of the future rather than being present with what is. Now, what I just said there, being present with what is really fucking important because a lot of people have a very challenging time in actually doing so. What does it mean to be present with what is? Well, let's create the contrast here, right? You're either going to be seduced into future faking, or you're going to be present with red flags and the fucked upness. If somebody says to you, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, over and over again, if they're back and forth with their actions, that is the pattern. If you don't know what red flags are, because red flags have been watered down for you your entire fucking life starting in childhood, it's very important to be present with the red flags. It's very important to be present with what's actually happening there. Red flags are red flags, no matter how much you try to turn them yellow. And they're definitely not fucking green. But the reality is that a lot of people have been have been taught to water the hell down out of red flags and just bypass them, just allow them to go straight over their head. It's sad, it's unfortunate, it happens all the time. So let's look at, first and foremost, preventing abusive relationships. So I'll divide this video into two parts: preventing abusive relationships and getting the fuck out of abusive relationships rather than staying stuck. Preventing is all about being present with the initial early stages, right? Because there are going to be a fuck ton of red flags present, and if you see them for what they are, you will be able to be like, oh, wait a second, that's fucked up. That is not healthy. I should not stay around here. I'm going to get the fuck out. Healthy individuals would never get into abusive relationships because it just doesn't click with them. They see the red flags for what they are and they get the fuck out before anything even starts. Um, so being present with the red flags, being present with the entire process in the beginning, if they are love bombing you, being aware of that is very important. Love bombing is a massive red flag. It is utmost speed in a relationship, and it crashes to the fucking ground. If you call somebody out for love bombing you, they will get the fuck out of your life faster than, I don't know, anything that's fast as fuck. Getting the fuck out of an unhealthy and abusive relationship requires you to see things from the perspective that the person that you're with does not want you to see them from. It requires you to see the bigger picture and recognize that, oh, wait a second, there are 8+ billion people on the face of this fucking planet. This person that I'm with is not the only fucking person, even though they have probably done somewhat of isolating you from the rest of the people in your life. It's seeing it for what it is. Imagine somebody says to you, "You're nothing without me." Yeah, that is something that somebody would say to you to try to get you to stay with them and not leave, because they're trying to get you to see that they're the only person that holds this profound perception of you. And if you try to leave, you will all of a sudden become nothing. Your entire life will collapse because they're the only person that holds this special key to your fucking life. It's likely that that type of person is a narcissist, because narcissists say that so that people won't leave them because they're terrified of fucking abandonment, and they want to isolate you from other people in your life so that they can suck the living fuck out of you. That made no sense. So that they can suck the life out of you. They can suck the everything. They can distract you. They can pull you in and make you become a part of their fucked up reality, right? um, Getting out of an abusive relationship, feeling stuck in an abusive relationship, really comes down to perception, perspective. You need to see everything for what it is rather than what's being distracted. Is this person the only person on the face of this planet? No, they're not at all. No matter what it is that they say, no matter how hard it is that they try to get you to believe that they are, they're not. And it's just that simple. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, opening the perspective of the amount of people that is on, or that are on this planet, is very important, right? Okay, so there are like 8+ billion people on the face of this planet or around there, right? Probably about half that. I don't know the number, but about half that is the gender that you're looking for. Say that, for instance, that's around 4 billion people. That is fucking unfathomable. Like, I can't even fathom that fucking number. It's massive and it's spread out everywhere. So cool, you can travel and find somebody new. The reality is that my intention here is to expose what has been closed off to many people, and that is that this person that is getting you to believe that you're nothing without them, it's an isolating narcissistic tactic to get you to believe that there's nobody else out there for you, and that if you were to leave, you would all of a sudden become nothing. It's bullshit. Abusive tactics in relationships are bullshit, and they are intended to shut you down, to close you off from the people and things that are important to you. Isolation, it's real. And you can spend years of your life, decades of your life in abusive relationships where you are shut down from this bigger, more wholesome perspective and completely forget all of these things that exist in your life. It's true. It's absolutely true. I will probably make a part two to this because I have so much to fucking say. It's sad, it's sick, it's scary when people get stuck inside of abusive relationships. And not only that, but they're not even receiving what it is that they need. They've completely foregone their needs, their boundaries, everything. They've just allowed themselves to become paralyzed and crippled inside of this darkness that sucks them and consumes them and eats them whole. And a lot of people end up becoming actually very comfortable inside of those situations. Again, take this from somebody who's had experience with this. Not going to get into the logistics of my own experiences the or the fabric. I might in the next video because I do think that it will be helpful for people. I just really do choose to keep that boundary because I think that it's important to do so. Um, I will end off with this though, as we finish up here in these last couple minutes. People that are less established in a healthy ego state, and this is in reference to Freudian psychology, psychoanalytic theory, the id, the ego, and the superego. People that have a less developed and less healthy ego state tend to find themselves in unhealthy and abusive relationships because their sense of self is not defined in a healthy, developed, wholesome way, which is why they find themselves in unhealthy relationships where unhealthy individuals end up defining them. You are nothing without me. Yeah, an individual with a healthy ego state would look at that and be like, bye. And then they'd peace out, obviously. Or they wouldn't even be there because they would see the red flags present from day motherfucking one. That's how it works. So, people that have a less healthy, developed ego state tend to find themselves in relationships where the other person tells them what they are, who they are, what they need, and it's not healthy. It's an abusive dynamic, and the stuckness is the seduction to those different elements because of the lack of healthy developed self that you see in you. So seeing everything for what it is the ticket out. If you can actually see that the dynamic is not healthy, if you can actually see that you can do better for yourself, which this other person is trying as hard as they possibly can to get you not to see that, because if you were to see that, then their entire reality would collapse, because their reality, which is a fantasy, usually in these cases like a narcissistic fantasy or something like that, it's based around you getting sucked into their fucked up world. And if that collapses, it's game over. And you see everything for what it is. And you're not persuaded by their bullshit. I'll probably make a part 2 to this video because I think it's important, and it will probably introduce a lot more new material, but it will still consist of a lot of the same old stuff. But yeah. Oh, actually, before I end off here, if you find yourself stuck in an abusive relationship, no matter how stuck you are, you can get out. And there's likely more come of, the next video.